Interesting. I
Yeah.
feel like all of social media has been doing it wrong then.
Taylor Swift has a song called Karma, and I
Yeah.
don't think she gets it right either. But again, I'm not
Don't
a.
you say that. Don't you say Taylor Swift got it wrong.
That's it.
We're
This
over.
podcast
We're
is
done.
over.
We're done. Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot
Make yourself a grasshopper
and enjoy the ride. Hello there, Ryan.
Hello, Rob.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Amazing, because we just watched the classified materials Turbulence.
Yeah.
For any new listeners out there, I'm Rob, and this is my co-host Ryan. We are Theoretical Nonsense, the podcast that recaps, reviews, and deep dives facts from the Big Bang Theory, which we call IQ points. I've seen the series multiple times, but this is Ryan's first time watching, so we do our best to do no spoilers. And Ryan has also been told that he's very similar to Sheldon, so we keep a point tally of how close Ryan is to being a Sheldon.
I completely forgot to open that up, so give me 1 second.
Oh.
Okay, so I found it. I am 66 points not like Sheldon, 66 or 69 points like Sheldon. I remember last episode Sheldon did a couple things and got caught back up, so I was not like him for a while, but right now we're aiming to end the season with me being like him if it continues this way.
I know. I can't wait to kind of go through the list. A little recap of season 2. Speaking of which, since we are coming to the end of season 2, don't forget we're going to have a recap episode. We're going to be talking superlatives, best episode, worst episode, best guest actor, best moments, and etc. We'll also kind of recap our IQ points too. So let us know what you think. Shoot us an email. Who was your what was your favorite story arc? Who's your favorite character so far? Who's your favorite guest appearance, etc. I already started going through like the IMDb of it all and everything as like a reminder of who there was. So as a reminder for everyone who isn't familiar with season 2 or kind of forgot about it, your choices are Ramona Nowitzki, who was played by Ricky Lindholm, Dr. Stephanie Barnett, who was played by Sarah Rue. And then season 2 was the introduction of Barry Kripke, played by John Ross Bowie. A theoretical nonsense favorite, Leslie Winkle, played by Sarah Gilbert. And a theoretical nonsense least favorite, Dr. Beverly Hofstadter, played by Christine Baranski. Summer Glau made an appearance playing herself. Then there was the new neighbor, Alicia, played by Valerie Aslin. And then most recently, there was Jodie Lynn O'Keefe, who played Michaela. And one of my favorites, I don't hope that's not a spoiler, but it's Stuart Bloom, played by Kevin Sussman.
I think he's good too. I'm not sure if he's my favorite, but it's also hard because Leslie's always a favorite. So I'm thinking that I don't know. I can't count her every time. She's kind of a reoccurring character instead of but she's always fantastic. So
I know it gets to a point where they're not really a guest actor anymore. They're just like kind of like a reoccurring actor, a recurring guest, or
they're just here and we have to put them in the show. They keep showing up.
They're just standing behind that background, so we just let them in.
It's like the ghosts on 3.5 Men and a Baby or whatever, 3 Men and a Baby.
Oh.
There's like, it's a cardboard cutout, but everybody's like, it's a ghost just standing in the background watching.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media. We're on Instagram at Theoretical Nonsense Pod. Feel free to email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. And also, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple, and you could be entered in to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So give us a 5-star review on Apple, and don't forget to actually write something in the review part, and then email us your screen name, because we don't want a Spartacus situation on our hand. We're accepting all entries until December 1st, 2023, and we will announce the winner on our season 2 update that's going to release on December 3rd. So there's still plenty of time.
That's coming up pretty soon.
This episode is launching at the beginning of November, so at this point you have about a month. A little under a month.
It's been a while since we've seen a new review or an email, so yeah, I'm
yeah. Are people just dropping off?
Yeah,
Do they hate us?
Do they hate us?
Yeah.
Was it something I said?
Probably, because I'm perfect.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sorry. I'd say it again.
Well, one last thing I want to say is, per our last episode, the Vegas renormalization, we made the sweeping declaration that there was 7 IQ points at the end of the episode. I just edited it, and there are 8 IQ points.
8. Nice.
I miscounted.
That's what you get for not having a PhD.
Yeah, I know.
Counting to 10 is hard.
Super hard. I try to do it with my son all the time, and we keep failing.
We always get confused. Around the 4 or 5 section. What comes next? Who knows?
It's 4-1. And then 4-2.
4-2.
Well, that's all I had. Anything else to add before we get started?
I don't think so. I think that's about it.
All right. So, shall we begin?
Yeah, I think so.
Should we talk overall thoughts of this episode?
Sure. I didn't like it as much as the last episode. Last episode was just fantastic, but it was fun. It was entertaining. Howard has his own little side project, had some characterization, and we get a little bit more romance department as well, and some things that are kind of ongoing in the story. So, I liked it. I thought it was a necessary episode. Just not necessarily one of my favorites.
Yeah, not my favorite either. I actually really didn't enjoy this one as much as I remember. Things didn't really go anywhere. I thought that a lot of the jokes were a little lackluster. Like a lot of the explanation of why something is funny and everything like that. When you have to explain it, it's not funny. So like all the poop jokes and everything like that. There was some sexist stuff in there, and it was like, not the best episode.
Yeah.
And the whole Howard, I feel like he should have lost his job for something.
Yeah,
like
right.
That.
I feel like, that's I don't know how you managed that.
Yeah, it's like, man, how do you fuck that up so bad?
And I was also kind of confused about the ending. We'll get to that, but I'm curious what you made out of it because I don't want to ruin it, but I didn't completely understand what happened. So, in fact, I kind of thought about I'll get to it, but I really thought this was going a different direction at the end, and then I was kind of like, wait, but we'll get to that. We'll get
to you. That means you better stick around.
Yeah, listen to the whole episode.
Yeah,
if you want to or not. This is season 2, episode 22, the classified materials Turbulence, and this aired on May 4th, 2009.
Star Wars Day. I'm a little surprised it wasn't a Star Wars related episode.
Was that a thing back then? When did May the 4th be with you start?
I feel like I've known about it for a long time.
Because I don't think I knew about it until grad school. I don't think I knew about it in undergrad or high school.
When did I first learn about it then? I don't even know. I feel like I've known about it. Granted, I didn't know about it in middle school, but in high school, didn't really pay
This is kind of like the phrase the bucket list or having a bucket list?
Yeah.
Do you know where that came from?
No.
The movie Bucket List.
No way.
Yeah,
it
did.
Must have. No, it must have been longer. No,
it did.
No, you're a liar. No.
Part of that, Mandela
podcast
effect?
over. I hate you.
I hate you. This is done. I win the $100 gift certificate.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
When did that movie? I feel like that movie came out not that long ago.
2010, I think. Let me take a look into this. But it's one of those things where, when did Nelson Mandela died? How do you pronounce Berenstein Bear or Berenstein or whatever?
Berenstain. I've been buying a lot of those.
2007, the bucket list. And everybody assumes that term phrase has been around forever. I thought it was.
First thing on Wikipedia says the term was used in 1999 by American and British screenwriter Justin Zackham in his screenplay for the 2007 film.
So when he was writing it in 1999, when he was writing for that movie. So it really came out when the movie came out. I'm guessing some people used it before then, but still is associated with that movie.
When I type in when did Star Wars Day start, 2011. So you're right.
Wow. I feel like that should be an IQ point. When did Star Wars Day start? Because I would have believed that it was around. I just hadn't heard of it until...
Maybe it just didn't become more mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah, two years away, May 4th.
They better do some Star Wars themed stuff on that day. When we get to 2011.
Wait and see.
Okay, so this was written by Chuck Lorre, Bill Prady, and Steve Morrow, and directed, of course, by Mark Sandrowski. It opens up in the comic book store, and Sheldon mentions the smell of new comics in the air. Howard says he will pay for everything, and Raj asks if he's been selling his sperm again for a little extra money. I like how he adds, like, again, that's happened before. So, you know,
I do like the dynamic of the group, how they, in terms of, like, how they write the episodes and the script, how they kind of just introduce, like, a topic that's new to the audience, but it's not new to them. Yeah. That's something I really enjoy.
They've known it to be a thing, but the audience is just learning about it. So, and they do it a lot with, like, Sheldon's little idiosyncrasies, right? Mannerisms, right? Yeah. So Howard says no. His space station's toilet is about to be used, and he starts to argue that he's making real world contributions when the rest of them are just kind of sitting around. And I like the joke that Raj makes. Says that it's very important for two reasons. One, and number two. And this is something that, you know, poop humor, poop jokes. I giggle at them, but I feel like most of the episodes built around poop jokes, and that was a little too much for me, so I don't know.
For me, I think it was a little, it kind of killed me when they had to, I feel like they could have axed out Sheldon's dialogue of him having to explain, like, oh, you just made a poop joke. It's like, you don't need to tell us that.
Every single time.
Yeah.
That wasn't as, and you know, he did say something later. He says it's funny because it's true. And I think that came from, the first time I heard that was on Family Guy or something. I think Stewie was saying it, but I still laugh when somebody says it's funny because it's true. So yeah. I like that, but he does go into detail about the double meaning of words, making something funny. And so
double entendre.
Double entendre. Stuart, the comic book owner, brings Sheldon a copy of Hellboy and says it's mind-blowing. Sheldon says that that's a spoiler, that now that he knows that's mind-blowing, he can't unblow his mind. That sounds bad.
I agree with that. I've been told, like, that there have been times when someone tells me, like, a TV show is great or a movie is great, and then the expectation gets kind of high, and then I watch it and it's like, oh, it wasn't as good.
That's, you know, I think that's fair. I don't know if it's ever really bothered me, but I can say that, at least for the most part...
Hey, Ryan, season 2 finale is mind-blowing.
It's ruined. I quit.
Shut it down. Podcast over. I hate you.
This podcast is going to end like 5 times before the end of this episode.
How dare you? I'm done with you.
I'm done with you. You can't be done with me. I'm done with you first.
Nuh-uh.
The movies and shows I like the most are the ones that I have no idea what I'm going into, and they surprise me. That
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
Did you watch that blind?
I watched that blind.
Oh my god.
And
that is a prime example of a movie that you need to know nothing about. Don't watch a trailer. Don't watch anything. Just click play. I think it's on Netflix still right now. Cabin in the Woods. It's actually, well, okay, half spoiler. It's perfect for like Halloween, which I know we're filming this in the middle of October, but this episode is coming out in November. So it would have been a great opportunity for Halloween.
Well, make every day Halloween. That's my theory.
Go to Halloween Town.
Halloween Town. I think I'm going to Halloween Town. Did I tell you that?
Like the real like you're going through a tree into Halloween Town?
Yes, I am. Once we're done with this podcast.
Oh my god.
Goodbye, world. No, there's what is it? A Disney show called like Halloween Town or something. And it's like the 30th anniversary this weekend for the Disney TV show. And I think I'm gonna go and I don't know, they'll have like a giant pumpkin and dance a little bit. I don't know what they do there.
I've never heard of that.
I'll send you some pics. Kelsey's really into it. She like grew up on the show, and I'm like, okay,
okay,
it makes you happy.
Yeah. And you like Halloween stuff, so it's all good,
right? I'm not going to be able to complain really. So I would say I went into there's a movie called Dark City with Kiefer Sutherland and something Ruffus, I believe. And I had no idea what it was about. And it's such a weird movie that you can't really say what it's about. But I
remember when the previews came out being kind of scared. And I remember it was always one of those, like, it's a core memory of walking through Blockbuster and always seeing it on the shelf.
Uh-huh.
But I was too scared to, like, pick it up and, like, look at it and everything. So I was like, Dark City.
No.
Don't look at me.
It's creepy, but it's not super scary. It's I would say it's hardcore sci-fi, like not necessarily like Star Trek, but kind of like an Outer Limits or Twilight Zone type thing. And yeah, I don't want to ruin it for anyone or you if you ever watch it, but I freaking loved it. And it's like after I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, how did I not know this existed?
Okay, so maybe would it still hold up today if I was to watch it?
I think so.
Okay.
It's still one of my top movies. It's been a couple years since I've seen it, but I think it still works.
All right.
Oh, and Jennifer Connelly, she's always beautiful.
It's always pleasant to see Jennifer Connelly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you'll like it. I think maybe you won't, but I think it's fantastic. So
you just spoiled it for me.
I knocked your socks off, didn't I?
Oh.
That one and Vanilla Sky. A lot of people hated Vanilla Sky, but it was one that I went into not knowing what it was going to be about, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, I really like that one too.
I think it's because it takes such a twist that like a lot of people are like, I can't get on board with that because it is so out there, and they weren't expecting it because it's something that you can't really talk about in a movie trailer. Like it's the story's so not twisted but different, I guess, and it makes sense that it was based on a Spanish film called Abre los Ojos, Open Your Eyes. So it's like, okay, so it's actually a remake, American remake that the story was there, but it's still kind of like, who would, like, how can you think of something that unique and original? I don't know. But it's hard to even discuss what it's about without, I went into it thinking it was a murder mystery, and I don't think it's a murder mystery.
No.
Yeah. So anyways, I think that the best way to go in is open-minded, not knowing, but at the same time, I don't know if I'd be offended if somebody said, "Oh, it'll knock your socks off." But like you said,
that could be anything. It could be good or bad.
Yeah,
I meant
so
I meant
bad it knocked your socks off.
Yeah,
it's so average. Your mind will blow. So Stuart starts talking to Leonard about dating Penny and asks for advice, basically. And at first, Leonard thinks that he's failed at the date and that get yourself up, dry yourself, or dust yourself off, and get back to the dating world. And Stuart basically like, well, we have another date tonight. And then Sheldon interrupts and says, "You know about the new Green Lantern? It's gonna knock your socks off." And runs away.
Gotcha.
Stuart's not really fazed by this. Mentions that he wants to know if Penny's going to expect things to get physical, and he's not really sure how to handle things if they do get physical. And Leonard says he doesn't think so, but he's going to think about it, and he'll give him a call or have Stewart call him, or somebody will call somebody. Basically, it's clear that Leonard doesn't want to talk about how he can help Penny or him hook up with Penny. Penny. And then Howard recommends telling Stewart to do everything Leonard's done for the past 2 years, because that's pretty much got him nowhere. And so that was a nice little kickoff.
And then Raj and Howard finger each other.
Yes. And Howard's going to get his share of this episode, so I'm okay with him getting one off. And then we are at the mailboxes, and Penny comes in and asks Leonard if he's bothered by the date with Stewart. And he says no, because their relationship's in the past, and he's cool with everything. He thinks about today and the future. Penny says that she thinks it's cool that he's cool with it, and asks for advice, how to make Stewart feel more comfortable. And Leonard says to stress that stress can be good, that Stewart thrives under pressure, so keeping him uncomfortable is what he should do. And he says that's why he owns his comic book store, is because he loves stress so much. This got me into an IQ point. I looked up stressful jobs and not stressful jobs. Comic book store ownership was not one of them. So, either or. So, but this is according to Business News Daily, who got information from careercast.com. The top 5 most stressful jobs, and I think these are pretty straightforward. Enlisted military, firefighters, there we go, airline pilots, police, and broadcasters. I always heard that...
broadcast? Oh, is it because they're on camera?
I think... it didn't even clarify what it meant by broadcasters, as the producer, as the anchor, because later on it had in like number 10 news journalist, and so it wasn't just journalist, but I'm guessing they have to put themselves in dangerous spots. They are constantly traveling for their job. It's constant pressure of getting stuff done on time, and so honestly, at least where I worked,
it's like the stuff in Israel right now.
Yeah, exactly. Going there and trying to...
Like the reporters got attacked.
Maintain a story, yeah. Even with Black Lives Matter protests, like the cops were beating and arresting journalists, right? And it's like, we're journalists, we're just reporting. They're like, we don't care. So it can be definitely dangerous. But yeah, anchors and producers, although producers are not really ever in front of the camera, they do a lot of the same work in collecting information and putting the story together and running the show. So, but I always heard that, what is it? OTCs, traffic coordinators at the airport.
Yeah. We did an IQ point on suicide.
Yeah.
On the jobs that have the highest suicide rate, and that was up there.
So I was kind of surprised that airline pilot was there, but not the air traffic controller. That's what it is, ATC.
When was this article written? Because I feel like based off the article that we did, or the IQ point that we did on the suicide rate, that kind of changed in the last few years, because a lot of the air traffic stuff became more automated. So it's actually become less stressful. Like dentist was actually up there for like the top one. I remember
that. Yeah. I think this was like 2017. I would have to double check. So relatively recent.
Yeah, that's still pretty recent.
Yeah. So, things change. But least stressful careers, and I didn't completely understand some of these, but diagnostic med sonographer.
Oh, that I would say that if it's a diagnosing, I wonder if they have to tell the patient.
This is the least stressful job.
Oh, least stressful. Wait,
yeah,
right? That's the
so. Telling the patient, I could see that being really hard and stressful, but I'm guessing this is just the person running the diagnostic equipment and just has to do the work and give the information to the doctors. I'm guessing, but if anybody out there knows what a sonographer, or if you are a diagnostic med sonographer, let us know what you do and if it's stressful or a day at the beach. But second one was compliance officer. So I'm guessing this is the guy who just goes around making sure everybody's up to compliance and meeting requirements.
I feel like that's kind of stressful because I feel like I have to do that at work sometimes, where it's like I have to go around the facility and enforce rules. So it's like when you have to stop someone and be like, hey, you're not following the rules. It's kind of stressful because I don't know how they're going to react.
And just confrontation in general boosts my anxiety too. Yeah. So yeah.
How are these the least stressful jobs? How is like candy taster not on there?
Right? Yeah.
That should be the least stressful job.
Because they just get kids to do that for free. Porn star. I don't know. That gets stressful too. I've been reading about actors who refuse to do nude scenes. And quite a few of them was Michael Douglas, I believe, was quoted saying that, I don't do them because everybody has their own opinion on sex. It's because everybody has sex. Some people have had sex this morning and they know exactly how to do it right, and everybody else is wrong. He's like, I just don't want to deal with it, so I'm not going to have it in front of the camera.
I feel like there's a difference between actor and porn star, but okay.
That's true. And then what's his name? Samuel L. Jackson. I heard him say one time, I think it was a quote from somebody else, but I got it from him, saying that during erotic scenes, at some parts, you are, for lack of better words, turned on and you feel embarrassed, and at other parts you're not turned on and you also feel embarrassed. So you're having to apologize, saying, sorry about my
lack of arousal.
Yeah, my arousal. Sorry for my lack of arousal. And either way, it's bad. It's a lose-lose situation. So
that's a very good point.
I could see myself stressing out, like, oh man,
or just I would never want to do something like that.
Living off Viagra for my job or something. Number 3 was hairstylist.
Really?
Yeah.
I will let you know that Christina will disagree with that.
I imagine dealing with customers could be a bitch in that field.
Yeah, for every 8 great customers, she'll have 2 really bad ones that ruin her. It's just a customer service job.
Mm-hmm. Number 4, I have no idea what this is actually, but it sounds fun. Audiologist. I'm guessing audio technician of some sort.
Maybe.
And number 5, where I am, or getting there, university professor, tenured.
Oh, if you're tenured.
If you're tenured, they made a note. It had to be tenured. So I'm not quite there. I'm working on it. But I'm guessing once you get tenured, was in the new Frasier, his friend who's working at Harvard says, oh, it's really nice to be tenured. You get a TA. I have mine walk my cat. I don't know why. It made me laugh so hard. I'm like, but yeah. So those are 5 and 5.
God, I wonder why some of those other small I feel like there's so much less stressful jobs out there, but maybe I'm just missing something. I don't know.
Influencer, van lifer.
I feel like my job is pretty stress free. R&D chef. I just cook food and eat it. Granted, it does get very stressful when I have to present it and I have to get the feedback. Because sometimes I have something that I'm very proud of and people just shred it to pieces. And I'm just like, ugh.
I'll never make food for you again.
I quit.
I quit. What have I done with my life?
Now that I'm thinking of any job has its baggage. So
They really do. They really do.
I was going to say dog walker. Oh, but the stress is walking the dog.
I was going to say that comes with a bag of shit.
Yep.
All right, so that was first IQ point. Now we are on to the cafeteria, and Stuart is calling Leonard. And Sheldon is frustrated because Leonard's not answering it. It goes to Leonard's voicemail, and Shelly gets even angrier because Leonard won't check his message. And I debated this, but I think I'm going to give myself a point for being like Sheldon here. Because I know that I get anxious when I see I got an email, especially from somebody important, and I need to check it right away. Or a voicemail. If somebody's left me a voicemail, I'm like, that had to be important. I have to know what they said. And we've actually stopped the show for me to check voicemail or emails before. So I get anxious when I see someone has left me a voicemail or an email and have to check
I'm
it.
definitely that way every time I get like pinged at work or something like that. It's like, oh, if someone's taking the time to like Teams me, then obviously it must be important.
That's fair. I was thinking, have you ever, there's this power play people do sometimes where they say, you need to come talk to me when you get into work. Instead of saying, we need to talk about this issue, or we need to talk about prep, or we need to talk about a certain student. I remember,
Like, see me in my office at 8 a.m.
yeah, instead of,
Well, that's going to happen in the next episode.
dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun.
And so, yeah, I hate it when people do that. If you can say what you need to talk about in the voicemail, like prep, but again, it's a power play. You try to catch them off guard saying, I need to talk to you, and let them fret about what they're going to talk about. And when they get in, they are overwhelmed, anxious, and not able to mentally prepare for what the discussion is going to be about, so they can't defend themselves as much.
I hate doing stuff like that. I definitely, whenever I initiate a meeting, I definitely try to build as much context as possible. But then again, I've never really needed to play mind games or anything like that.
Yeah.
Have you? Be honest.
Every day. I'm playing one with you right now, Rob.
That's why we're meeting to do a podcast.
Yes. And I have to say something about your cooking after the show. Dun, dun, dun.
Is it about brisket?
Yes.
Oh, I'll tell you about it after.
I'll tell you later. I asked for a couple days off around Christmas the first time I got married at my job, and my manager sent me an email saying, come talk to me when you get to work. I'm like, send her an email straight up, like, what about? And she goes, about your request. I'm like, just send me an email. Like, why do we even have to bother with this?
Why do you have to make a big deal out of it? Just say accepted or denied.
Yeah. And, or let me prepare saying, hey, we're not sure we can get you the holiday off. Come in and talk to me about what's going on. And so I went in, and I had an announcement, invited everybody from the station to the wedding. But it was on Christmas Eve, and I had a invitation for everyone on like the bulletin board in the break room.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I went in and talked to my manager, and she's like, so why did you ask for Christmas Eve and Christmas off? And I'm like, well, for the wedding. And she's like, wedding? What wedding? Who's getting married? I'm like, I am. And that like flustered her, and like I could see her like go through her notes like she was not prepared for that. I go, there's been an invitation on the board for like 3 months, and she's like, oh, and she's like, we'll make it work. I'm like, okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
Wait, what were you doing where that you couldn't get Christmas Eve off?
It was when I was in the news.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the news keeps going sense. Even for holidays. So
okay.
And honestly, I didn't mind working holidays there. I think one of my favorite memories was Thanksgiving, because like only half the staff comes in, and the news is all really boring stuff that you just replay. So it's like a really easy day. And then like
I feel like for like team camaraderie, I feel like you would do something special on those days.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I've always done. Like on jobs where I had to work like the holiday shift, you do something special for the staff
to make it
so
fun
then it's
and
never that bad.
Yeah.
Did the news station do that, or were they just like, "Fuck you, here's the news"? That's your gift. You get to learn how horrible the world is.
Your gift is the world. Enjoy. No, they didn't do anything really. I think the crew may have brought some snacks in or something. The crew was great. It was, yeah, I remember having good times. Halloween was fun. 4th of July was fun. I didn't work Christmas, but yeah, it's like I always dreaded. I'm like, working holidays is going to be a pain, but it was like the easiest time. So I'm like, okay, why not?
Yeah.
And like pay and a half because it's holiday pay. So whatever. Okay. So, yeah, that's my whole message about anxiety and messages and power plays. Where were we? Oh, Leonard says it must be Hal living in Sheldon's brain or head, and that's what made me double down on this. I didn't double the points, but double down that I was gonna make this point for Sheldon is that just like this week, my partner goes, "It must be really tough being inside your head." I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of is." I can't remember what it was about. Like I was singing a song like Baby Shark or something, and she's like, "Why would you do this? It's so bad." I'm like, if you think that's bad, try imagining being in my head. Like,
yeah.
it's so much worse in there. So yeah. But Sheldon agrees, says at times. Howard says they have a code red. And we get the second IQ point. I looked up the 3 things Sheldon mentions. He goes, is this a hospital alert, the computer worm, or the cherry drink from Mountain Dew? Did you look into this at all?
I didn't, because there didn't really seem to be that, besides the computer worm, I didn't really see that much to look into. So I kind of looked into the computer worm thing, but I had a feeling that you were going to do it.
You know, I kind of agree that I didn't do all that much. I just verified with the hospital alert. I thought it was going to be something more serious, but I mean, it is serious. I
know code black means active shooter.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something like that, but I know code Adam is like a lost kid or whatever, at least in stores, right? But code red is a fire that they are having fire and to watch out for smoke and flames, I guess. The computer worm was actually, I couldn't find a whole, I don't know, it's above my head in computer programming, but it basically found a weakness in Microsoft programming and took down several websites in 2001. It was found on July 15th, 2001 by EI Digital Security. This is according to Wikipedia. And it's called Code Red. The worm is called Code Red because apparently that's the soda they were drinking at the time. So it's directly connected to the Mountain Dew Code Red, which is Mountain Dew's cherry-flavored soda, which was also started in 2001. So it was pretty new when the worm came out, too. But
nice.
Yeah, so I would say at least the partial IQ point for finding out that the computer worm was called Code Red, but it was named after the soda. Which
that is pretty cool. I remember reading that too. And we're going to give this a full IQ point because we don't do partials anymore.
Yeah, take that, partials. We hate you.
We're quitting on you.
We're quitting on you. Quit on us first, partials. All right, so Howard realizes that he has made a mistake with the toilet and it's going to fail at the space station. And I did laugh at his comparison. It's like a Jack in the Box. At some point, something a whole lot worse than a puppet's going to come out. And they never really say what the problem is, but you get the impression that it's going to overflow or backload or something.
Yeah, he says that there's a mistake with the diverter valve.
Yeah.
It's going to fail after 10 flushes.
And, he mentions later that they can't have waste hit the turbine. So something about there's a turbine cutting up the waste. I don't know. So it's kind of, I couldn't put it together. And it doesn't sound like actual toilets being used by NASA either. So it's kind of imaginary. So anyways, he's going to fix it before he lets NASA know so that they can have a fix on hand. And Raj says that Howard's going to need their help and thinks it's funny. Sheldon agrees and says it is funny, then tells Leonard to check his message again.
So I like that part at the very end. He won't let it go.
Yeah, he's like, that was funny. Check your message. So it's going back to that. We are at the apartment now, and they bring in a replica of the space toilet and some spare parts to fix it that they would have on hand. And they need to make sure, this is where, make sure the waste doesn't hit the turbine. Raj says, so you're saying it won't hit the fan? And I laugh, but again, we're getting to the point where
it's becoming redundant.
Yeah, a little redundant. And this got me to a third IQ point of how actual space toilets work. Do you look into this?
I thought about it, but I did not have the time.
So my understanding is for peeing, it's and this was according to University of Buffalo, their website. To pee, it seems kind of like you put a vacuum on your junk. You just kind of hook it up and it starts sucking, and you pee and it sucks it all away.
Oh my!
So it's like a vacuum attachment. The toilet, on the other hand,
what do girls do? Like, is there like a cup or something?
That's the way I understood it. It's a cup that they just kind of put up to their pelvis, their crotch, and let go.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like a pee buddy or something. And what did they say? Oh, that there are lots of handles and foot handles to hold yourself down and stay still while you are going to the bathroom because you're floating around, and that the toilet to poop is smaller than an earth toilet, and as soon as you lift up the lid, the suction starts, and then you put your butt on that and it sucks your butt down and creates a really good seal, and then you push your bowels out, your waste. Don't push your bowels out, that would be bad. But it sucks them down as soon as you poop them out, so it's kind of like a giant vacuum on your anus, which seems kind of dangerous in itself, but apparently it's just the right amount of suction and it sucks it away. So again, I'm not exactly sure how Howard's toilet's going to work, because when they're experimenting, they hit like a flush button and they wouldn't be able to have that in space. It has to be constantly.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just going to sit there in anti-gravity.
Yeah, and just go back up your butt or something. I don't know.
I took it as like they almost like poop into a chamber or something like that, and then the diverter ejects it out or something like that. That's kind of how I interpreted it. But now that you kind of talk about this, it's like, no, you're right. That wouldn't make sense.
And, we did I couldn't find it on our list, but we did an IQ point before on how waste is disposed of in space stations. And
we did?
Yeah. Because I think Howard was working on it. Maybe I dreamt it.
Did I just miss it and not document it?
It was the time I did the podcast by myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wait, you left me out? I hate you. I quit.
This is over. I swear that there was one where we were talking about the efficiency of burning waste in space to power stuff or something like that. We need to look through the list again.
We'll have to look that up.
Maybe I dreamt it, but when I started looking this up, I knew it wasn't necessarily about human waste. It's more like garbage, what they do with the garbage and stuff. So when I say waste, it's more like trash and opening bags and stuff. And I think also like reusing water and like the filters turning sweat or moisture in the air back into drinking water.
Yeah, as you talk about this, I am certain we did not talk about this.
Okay, who did I talk about this with?
I think you were just
doing my own thing.
It must be hell in your head.
It is sometimes. How are you doing today, Rob? I'm doing good. Let's talk about space stations. Okay, Ryan.
Wow. Okay, I gotta go now. Bye.
But yeah, and I remember reading somewhere that, and maybe I made this up too, that on the trip to the moon, that there's a transcript where the astronauts are complaining about a turd floating through the air. So if you don't have the right suction, like that could happen, right? Because things just float around and float out of the toilet.
Oh man.
All right, so that was an IQ point that it's basically big suction vacuums that you put on your butt, rectum, or your wiener or whatever it might be.
Your genitals.
Your genitals. Yeah, and then let it suck away, I guess. So Sheldon says he's surprised toilet humor stays funny with repetition. And I like that comment that he is kind of understanding jokes. It's kind of was wearing a little bit much on me, but I thought it was funny. He's like, wait, I'm still finding these funny. Stewart comes to the door and Howard says the work is classified. And Leonard says, oh yeah, it's a real Manhattan project in here, right? And Stewart's just come for some advice. And later he goes, what is that in there? And Howard goes, you don't know what this is? It's like, no. Good. And slams the door.
Slams the door in his face.
So I did a 4th IQ point here on the Manhattan Project. And I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, but I'm guessing it talks a lot about this. So I'm just going to go through some of the information that I did not know necessarily. So Manhattan Project, and this is from National Park Science. And I haven't seen the new Oppenheimer. I hear good things and I really want to. I just haven't had a chance to watch it. But something I didn't realize is that the Manhattan Project, which was the development of nuclear energy and nuclear weapons, the race against the Nazis to get nuclear weapons, I didn't realize that it was kind of the whole thing, not just what was going down in New Mexico. There was a facility in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. There was a facility in Hanford, Washington, and then the facility in Los Alamos, New Mexico. And Tennessee was working mostly on enriched uranium. Washington was working on plutonium. And then New Mexico was basically gathering their uranium, plutonium to build the actual bombs and test them under, and this is where Oppenheimer comes in. He was running the test and the building of the weapons. And they ran the test at the Trinity site, which became the Trinity test, on July 16th, 1945. I thought it was cool. This website talks about how they had to make secret cities because it was a top secret project. And so in these places, Oak Ridge, Hanford, Los Alamos, you can think about it, to get the number of workers they needed to do this, not only did the facility have to be built, so you needed the construction workers and the people to run the facility, but you also had their families, and then you had to have grocery stores for the families, you had to have schools for the families and buildings for them to live in. So they basically made cities that were top secret to run these projects. And I never kind of realized that, but I thought that was
I had no idea. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's just coming across a city that's not on a map and be like, what's going on here? And they're like, you should just turn around and leave town, buddy. Go on, right? What the hell is this? So I got some story fodder and ideas from that I might be working on. And then we get the 2 bombs that were dropped. Little Boy was dropped on August 6th, 1945. And Fat Man was dropped on August 9th. Little Boy was made with the uranium from Tennessee, and Fat Man was made with the plutonium from Washington. And so kind of different fuel types. And I also didn't realize that the tests went off on July 16th, and they were dropped just a couple weeks later in August. They hauled their asses to get those detonated. And then Japan surrendered a few days later, and it was official a few weeks later. So, but yeah, I thought that was just think about the cities and realizing that Oak Ridge and Hanford were both part of it as well, that it was a nationwide thing, not just the thing in New Mexico. All right, so end of that IQ point. Stewart says that he couldn't get connection with Leonard because, Leonard was ditching his calls, right? And so he's come to ask for advice face to face. And Leonard suggests going very slow. He says, treat her with with fear, she might break. Detachment and fear. That's what I said. And he says, wow, that really plays in my wheelhouse. That line, wow, I can do that. And that's when he asked, what are they working on? And I laughed at Howard says, you don't know what this is? Good. Bam. And then Sheldon says, lying. His mom always says lying for personal gain makes Jesus cry. So
Yeah,
I
I
like
love
that.
the call out to Mrs. Cooper.
Yeah, that was great. Sheldon doesn't believe in it, but at the same time, he's still bringing it up because he knows it's poking a pin in Leonard's heart. So they're at the apartment next, and Sheldon makes a suggestion for a fix. Howard says it won't work because of the size of the Russians on the space station. He says that their diet is hearty potato based. And Leonard kind of feels terrible, and Raj says Leonard has hurt his karma. Raj claims he believes in karma. Leonard was a two-faced bitch and will be reborn as a banana slug.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was funny, but I did a 5th IQ point on karma for this one. And karma's weird. There are some debates over it, but I don't see how Raj using it as actually correct.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I always kind of took it as I always associated it as exactly what he said.
That's and from what I got, I went to yogajournal.com and WebMD for quite a bit of information. WebMD at the end because it had a great analogy. But yogajournal.com says that it's kind of Western culture's belief that making a mistake is bad and defines us, and that we feel guilt and shame out of making mistakes. And therefore, we want karma to come out of that. We want to know there are repercussions for our mistakes. Likewise, we basically want rewards. So we want to know that if we do something good, we're going to get praised for it. That doing good for its own merit isn't just that. Like Western culture, capitalism, you work hard, you do good stuff, you get rewarded for it. And other cultures, not so much. Yeah, so this says it's flawed to think that negativity is a curse. Karma is not a moral system. It's technically Sanskrit for the word action. And I like the way it said this, rooted in Hinduism and derived from Buddhism. And a big difference was that in Hinduism, they believe in reincarnation and the thought that karma follows you through life. Buddhism says nothing is permanent, so karma isn't permanent either. So there's we're starting to see kind of divergence on how things are portrayed and how people understand it just based on the culture they grew up in. It clarified karma doesn't hand out punishments or rewards. Since it means action, you can also take it to mean action channeled by thought. And what I'm really gaining from this is that, I almost look at like self-fulfilling prophecies, that if you keep a positive mindset, you will see positivity in the world. Your actions will be positive and the world will be more positive, and you will live in a more positive world before that. On the other hand, if you are thinking negative things and you think, I suck, I can't do this, you will look and find the negative things in the world, and the actions you put out there will also be negative, which will make the world a more negative place. And the analogy I like from WebMD is comparing karma, taking action and karma, to planting seeds. And if you plant, let's say, rosemary, you can expect rosemary to grow from that seed. If karma is the positive action you take, and that positive action is a seed, you can expect positivity to grow from that seed in the world. And so it's not the reward that you're getting from it. It's about the world is then a better place. And again, not punishment, not rewards. And I think saying that you're being a two-faced bitch, you're going to be reborn as a banana slug, that's like a punishment. I would say he's being a two-faced bitch, therefore he's going to
be a two-faced bitch.
Yeah, return in a world where other people are two-faced bitches, because he's continued he's
the cycle.
The cycle, yeah. And instead of trying to stop people from being two-faced bitches, he's just pushing for it. And so, yeah, that's the way I'm understanding it. And from my other understandings and research, I took a few mythology classes in college. It's kind of how I've come to understand it. But again, Western culture does see it more as a you do something, you get something good. You do something bad, it comes around and kicks you in the butt.
You get what you give.
Yeah, and it's not quite like that.
Interesting. I feel like all of social media has been doing it wrong then.
Taylor Swift has a song called Karma, and I don't think she gets it right either. But again,
Don't you say that. Don't you say Taylor Swift got it wrong.
That's it. This podcast is over.
We're done.
But again, if like half the people on Earth or if everybody in America gets it wrong, then is it technically wrong? Or is it just a new type of right? I don't know.
That's a philosophical question that we can't answer here.
We can't
if
answer.
Everyone is wrong, are they really just right?
When do they become right? Okay, so that was my IQ point for karma. I think that's interesting. I actually even bought a book off Amazon about karma to learn more about it. I haven't had time to read it, but I think it's an interesting discussion. So Howard brings up it says tank bank again. I don't know what I wrote there. Bank. I don't think he brings up the bank. Raj makes suggestions, but they won't work. Howard says he could change his name and go live in Israel. And I like Sheldon nods and very straight deadpan says, that could work, right?
Yeah, that was a laugh out loud. How yep, that could work.
Yeah, that could work. So it's the next morning in the foyer, and Leonard greets Penny. He's basically, we know he's there to talk about Stuart, but he's like, oh, I'm going to get coffee. You want some coffee? How'd your date go? Type thing. And she doesn't want to talk about it. And Leonard tries to apologize for his bad advice. He feels guilty. And she goes, I don't want to talk about it, and basically closes the door on her. And I did laugh at this, although, again, I don't agree with the use of karma. He goes, Raj says, you can clean your karma up by getting me my latte.
I feel like he's using karma as a way to benefit himself.
And, I support that. You can fix your karma. And for anybody who thinks karma is that easy, they deserve to be taken advantage of. So
exactly. And I bet he went and got his latte.
Right? Yeah. All right. So next scene, back in the apartment, Howard has an idea. Sheldon says he doesn't know what he's doing. If he did, there wouldn't be a toilet where the coffee table should be. So basically, Sheldon has absolutely no confidence in Howard. He makes another comment later that I think was really funny too. We'll get to that. Raj suggests using a part, but it's not a spare part. It's the little thing that goes in a pizza box to keep it from touching the lid.
The pizza stool.
And I did a little IQ point on this too.
Me too.
Oh, take it away. I've been hogging the mic.
I know. I literally only found one. I guess I'm just being a little bit more selective on my IQ points.
That's
just
fair.
so we don't do things not that are pointless or anything like that. I'm trying to keep it related to the show.
Yeah.
And Raj says that they don't have those in India. That because of what does he say? With the rampant poverty and periodic outbreaks of cholera in India, a little cardboard touching their cheese is no biggie.
It's no biggie.
I searched high and low to see if India does have those, and based off my research, I think they do.
I was going to say that it's probably a pizza joint by pizza joint thing, not necessarily country by country.
And that's exactly what I kind of associated too, because there are some pizza joints that I go to that don't use it, and there are still some places that I go to that do use it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that Raj, when living in India, just never went to a pizza joint that used it.
Yep.
So that's why. But then again, he's ordered plenty of pizzas in America. So how has he not? But then again, I'll cut him some slack because they're on over 24 hours without sleep, just working on stuff. He just sees it in the pile, so he's just like, "Oh my god, what's this piece? It was in the pile." So,
And there's
Yeah,
probably a
so,
whole lot of other junk in there that doesn't look familiar either, so I can understand that.
yeah, so we'll cut them some slack on this one. But so I did the research on, well, I already answered that. I'm guessing that India does have these based off the pizza joints. But then I kind of got thinking, what's pizza like in India?
Ooh.
Because if anyone has listened to this podcast, I will do whatever it takes to turn this to a food cast. So I wanted to know what pizza was like in India. And this was fun. I was curious about what are the top toppings? What are the most favorite toppings of the pizza in India? Because in America, it's like what, pepperoni, extra cheese, maybe some Italian sausage combination,
mushrooms.
But what's it like in India? And this was actually kind of hard to find because coming from America, like we're probably just on a different VPN. So a lot of people probably just aren't talking about the favorite toppings in India.
Yeah.
So this was a little hard to find. But I did find a website, strawpoll.com. And this was a poll for the most popular pizza toppings in India. But I couldn't determine who could actually participate in this poll. Because it's the internet. It doesn't specifically say what demographic. It just says these are we got people to vote on what the most popular pizza toppings are in India.
All the people lived in France, but
yeah, it's are you saying that people are just guessing what the favorite toppings are? So I really could not determine that. But I wrote down the top 5 anyways. And this was a poll that was launched at the beginning of October of 2023, so not that long ago. There were only 137 voters, and like I said, they could have been from anywhere. But the top 5, number 5, mushrooms. Number 4, bell peppers. Number 3, onion. Number 2, chicken tikka. And number 1, paneer. And reverting back a little bit, it's really a top 6 because number 6 I'm adding just because I was a little shocked because I was like, that's a really interesting topping. Corn.
Yeah.
So I was very skeptical when I found this article because I didn't know who actually voted, if this was really true or not. But I started looking into which are the most popular pizza joints in India. So this kind of deviates a little bit on the toppings, but I will finish that thought. But the most popular pizza places, according to an article on NDTV, which is New Delhi Television, from an article in 2021, the top 3 pizzerias in India, according to their local viewers. Number 3 is a place called Oven Story, which is in Mumbai, which is actually a chain restaurant. It is a pizza chain in India. Number 2 is Jamie's Pizzeria, which is also in Mumbai. And number 1, Mia Cucina, which is also in Mumbai. So apparently Mumbai is really into pizza. And these may be the best rated pizza joints in India, but according to Medium.com and Cashly.com, 60% of the Indian pizza market is actually controlled by Domino's, and Pizza Hut taking second place. So I decided to look at the Domino's India menu, and this kind of validates that earlier poll that I mentioned. Because I found their menu, and all those items are actually on there. I looked at the menu, and it looks way better than the American menu.
Really?
No joke. It looks way better. Their vegetarian menu is a lot more extensive because, a lot of them are vegetarian.
Yeah.
But they had cheese and corn pizza. They used a lot of paneer. So whatever you would put meat on a pizza in America, just substitute it with paneer, and that's their pizza. They have flavors like tandoori and tikka infused in it too, and Szechuan. A lot of Szechuan flavors because China is so close to India. And I noticed that Italian meats, pepperoni, salami, and sausage are not featured anywhere on the menu. None whatsoever. Everything is chicken. If there's a protein, it's chicken. So even their pepperoni is made out of chicken.
Huh.
And I tried looking into this because from my understanding, a lot of the Indian population that does eat meat, pork is on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
So I could not identify why all these pork products weren't on there. Because like a lot of pepperoni is, I guess some have beef, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Some are pork based. Some salamis are pork based. Like it'll actually say beef salami or beef pepperoni. So the vast majority is pork. So I didn't really know why it wasn't on the menu.
Although sometimes you get places that kind of mix it and you don't know what the mix is. So I've met
it could just be a safety thing.
Yeah.
Like just better just not have it.
Mm-hmm.
That could be it, but I couldn't find an answer. And I decided to cross-check the Pizza Hut menu of India as well. And their menu is even more vegetarian. Only one pizza on the entire menu had meat on it. Everything else, vegetarian. And it's called the Mamma Mia Pizza Non-Veg. And it has Szechuan meatballs. But it did not specify what kind of meat is in the Szechuan meatballs.
I remember ordering Pizza Hut in Japan when I lived there, and first of all, the price didn't do it very often because the price was very expensive. It was easier to, I don't know, there were cheaper pizza places or just buying a pizza at the store. But I remember still learning the language and being able to read. And so I was reading the menu, and I'm like, what is this? What are these chunks on this one? I'm looking at it, I'm like, Idaho special. And finally it clicks, Idaho special. It was a potato pizza with just large chunks of pizza. I'm like, we don't even have Idaho specials in Idaho. What the heck?
I will say I watch a lot of Korean mukbangs, and I watch the pizza one. Like they do like a lot of sweet potato and corn on there, and they look so good. Sweet potato on a pizza looks really bomb.
I forgot about the corn, but I do remember having some pizzas with corn on it in Japan, and it's I don't know why we don't have it. It's a nice little sweet, crispy.
It's sweet.
Texture.
When you roast it, it gets kind of crispy and kind of like bursts and everything with the gooey soft cheese. That's a brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Domino's menu looks so much better in India, so they're pretty lucky.
It's true.
Yeah. So and that's all I had on it. Oh, that's all I had.
All right, I was gonna add one little thing about the little pizza thing. It found out that it was created or patented on February 10th, 1983 by Carmela Vital. And we said that it basically makes sure that the cardboard doesn't get soggy and start dripping into the cheese. But something I did find interesting is it's technically called a package saver. And this is according to Gizmodo.com. So package saver is the name. I've always called them Barbie tables because I remember when I was a kid, that's how we always used them. And not just me, but I'd go to somebody's house and they would have sisters, and you'd see all these little plastic package savers around, and they're like bar stools for the Barbies. And I'm like, yeah, that's what they're for. I'm curious if anybody else send us an email if you use them like that or use them for something else. But yeah, multiple uses, right? So anyways, that's all I had to add to it. But
well, also to piggyback on that, the big thing on TikTok right now is the in quote real use of the pizza stool. It's that it's actually there to help separate the pizza slices without having to grab two slices and separate it. You use the stool to hold one piece down, and then you pull your slice away.
Oh,
yeah, I call bullshit on that.
Yeah, I do too.
I feel like that's more of like a happy accident.
From what Gizmodo was saying, the patent was pretty specific about protecting the cheese.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because as a package saver, it's like it's protecting the cardboard, but it's protecting the pizza. So
Yeah.
all right, so Leonard is going to go to the comic book store, and Raj and Sheldon want to go, but Howard won't let them. And he says Leonard is allowed to go because if he has to hear about Leonard complaining, he'll kick Leonard in the ovaries. So he just wants him out of there.
Yeah.
And when Leonard leaves, he's like, "Got you, sister," because he's poking a little bit more fun that he's just really pissed off at Leonard. And I'm gonna say 1 point not like Sheldon here because I don't know if I would make a sexist comment like that, but if I'm getting frustrated and I don't feel like people are paying attention like they need to be, I get a little worked up. I get a little cranky. So get cranky when people aren't helping.
So that's a Howard point there.
Fix an issue. Yeah, that's a Howard point. So not like Sheldon. And I've been known to snap like that a little bit. Like, you're not going anywhere until we all find a solution, okay? That type of thing.
Doors locking
Doors
now.
locked. You're here, so get to work.
Here are the handcuffs.
And so they try a test with his mother's meatloaf. And I don't completely understand this because the meatloaf like ejects into the ceiling and gets stuck there. And so it's like they're flushing or something, which wouldn't be able to work in space. But it's kind of funny. And I do like that Sheldon says that Howard could probably get a refund on his master's degree. That's harsh. They are ripping each other apart this episode. So at the comic store, Leonard goes in and apologizes to Stewart. And Stewart says, actually, the advice went really well. He took it all dinner, and then they went to the car and started making out. And then something went wrong, and Leonard asks if he sneezed when he was kissing her, because that happened to him once. And I did a failed IQ point here. I was going to look stuff up, but couldn't find anything. Really no information about what happens if you sneeze, but I've always heard the urban legend that if you sneeze, it could pop somebody's lung.
Like if you're kissing someone and you actually sneeze?
Yeah, that if you because the pressure will build up into their mouth and go into their lungs and cause it to pop. Urban legend. I have no idea where I even got that, if it was in a movie or something, but that's what I always heard. I found no information about that urban legend. Found nothing. The closest thing I could find is it considered rude if you sneeze during a kiss? Which I'm like, yeah, if that's rude, you have other issues. Like, you probably shouldn't try to sneeze while you're kissing, but
well, just don't sneeze on them. Just shove them away.
Yeah, run. You have to leave. So failed IQ point for the episode. So Stewart admits Penny said Leonard's name while they were making out, because he goes, "Oh, Penny," and she apparently said, "Oh, Leonard," and Leonard apologizes. This was really bad. Stewart says it's actually better than hearing, "I'm a dude, right?" So he's had some experiences, and I like the way he's looking at this. Good karma. He's putting positivity into the universe, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, he wasn't that upset about it. He was like, you know what? It happened. Moving on.
He rolled with the punches, and he didn't hold any resentment towards Leonard or anything. Just, it happens. Yeah, move on. And Leonard leaves, but he does a little dance when he gets outside of the store. Back at the apartment, Howard is on the phone talking about his issue and keeping it classified. And I like Penny goes, "Wait, what's classified?" And Leonard says, "Oh, Howard's toilet. I'll tell you about it later." So it's really not that classified. Sheldon doesn't know why he should worry because Howard's career isn't, or because Sheldon's career is in trouble. Then he looks at Howard and smiles. So this is where we're saying he should probably be fired for this, but at least we know his career is in trouble a little bit because he goofed up. And this is where Sheldon says it's funny because it's true. And that's a line that gets me. I like that. Penny asks for more soy sauce, and Leonard says, "Oh, were you talking to me?" And she says, "Well, I did say your name." And he goes, "Yes, you did." So he's a little being egotistical. It's kind of funny,
Yeah.
but kind of smug. Just be thankful. And then the meatloaf falls from the ceiling, and Leonard asks, what was the meatloaf doing up there? And that's when Howard says, it's classified. And we go to the space station at the end. And this is the thing I don't get. The space station makes a call to Houston and it says, we are all going to do a spacewalk. And Houston says, we can't allow everyone to leave. And they said, this is really an FYI call. We're already out the door. And then it ends. And so I'm guessing something went wrong with the toilet. But a spacewalk isn't going to fix poop floating around. So
no, I think it sounds like the fixes or the corrections, either they didn't make it in time or it failed again, in which Howard should probably lose his job.
But again, what's a spacewalk going to do? Like, is it just the smell came out and they're trying to air things out, or
they're just like saying, fuck it, we're out of here, we'll deal with it later. That's kind of how I took it as, like, I'm not dealing with this right now. We all need to leave right now, and then we'll have to strategize and figure
take a break, cool down, and deal with this shit later.
Yeah,
I got you. I really thought what was going to happen was NASA, and this probably would have been really silly, but I would have get a kick out of it. NASA would have sent some pizza boxes up there with little savers, so the astronauts could have pizza and save the toilet with the piece.
Right.
That's what I thought was going to happen. It did not, but
that actually would have been amazing. But yeah, NASA ain't gonna set up a pizza.
We're sending some pizzas up. You are going to need to keep those little tables.
Keep the Barbie table.
Keep the Barbie table. It's going to come in important later. So that's all I have. We did it.
Yep, that's the episode.
Nice.
Just an okay one. Not my favorite one. A lot of outdated jokes. Poop humor is good in dosages. You can't just keep piling it on.
I enjoy a good poop humor, good fart joke, but after a while it does get, I need some seriousness to it too, or at least a little bit.
Yeah. And I feel like even like I look at this as just kind of a dumb filler episode. Like, even though they're advancing, like, oh, we're kind of seeing that Penny has feelings for Leonard, and he's just kind of feeling high and mighty, being a little egotistical, but he's not even thinking to himself, oh, I should ask her out then. I'm so interested in her. She's obviously interested in me. Let's give this a go. That part didn't even cross his mind, which is like, that was weird. Like, what?
Like going to Friends, thinking about Friends when Ross finds out Rachel has feelings for him. He's getting a voicemail from her. Yeah. And like he's just, it seems realistic, so blown away. Like, you have feelings for me? Like, what do I do?
I know. Like, how was he not just like over the moon and like starting to strategize? How should I ask her out again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but nope, he was just like, oh, here's the soy sauce.
Me.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens in coming seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on this episode?
I think that's all I have. Yeah. I'm looking forward to finishing up the season.
Yeah. We're winding down season 2. Our next episode is the finale. We're doing it. Season 2 finale. Episode 23, The Monopolar Expedition. Be on the lookout. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review and be entered in to win a $100 Amazon gift card.
I think we mentioned too that if you live in England or something, that we're going to try to find a way to make it work for you.
We'll make it work. We'll pay the extra shipping. Yeah. We'll make it work. If you win.
If you win.
Yeah. If you win. We'll have to we'll have to figure out how you and I want to do the drawing.
Yeah.
Names in a hat, random calculator on Excel. I don't know. We'll have to. I feel like the names in a hat is more pure.
Right? It's tried and true.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
All right. Well, that was it. We'll see you next time when we talk season 2 finale, The Monopolar Expedition. Thanks for listening.
See ya.
This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast.
No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Grohl, and our logo is by John Kim. Thanks for listening.
A giant vacuum on Uranus.